federal government has sent an invitation to the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress and its counterpart in the Trade Union Congress for a fresh meeting in order to persuade organized labour not to proceed on an indefinite strike. The union had given a 3-week ultimatum to embark on an indefinite strike over fuel subsidy removal. But the Minister of Labour and Employment, Simon Lalong, has directed the Department of Trade Union Services and Industrial Relations in the ministry to convene a meeting with the leadership of the organized labour before the ultimatum given expires. The leadership of NLC had on September 4 boycotted the meeting convened by the minister with a view to averting a 2-day warning strike that was declared by organized labour. Rufai.
Here we go again. So we keep going like in a staccato rhythm. The federal government has shown bad faith, and that's why we're where we are today. The federal government pulled out subsidy without not having plans for it, without not having a clear vision on what to do, and it is obvious because all the meetings they said they were going to have with Labour, they didn't have those meetings. We have gone from the point of setting up a tripartite committee to be able to meet and fashion something veritable as regards salaries for workers and as regards welfare for workers. We've gone full circle 360 degree to not as regards that. And when you put that conversation forward, the current minister has also shown bad faith, and that's why Labour did go on strike. And the meeting was not attended before they went on strike. And I am sure that the TUC that goes ahead to say, let's still have meetings and all of that. Because I heard the TUC chief was saying, let's have meetings with the government, let's see how this pans out. I'm sure the TUC in local parlance, I don't clear now to see that nothing has still been done. Nothing yet for the workers, nothing yet as regards all the positions put forward, nothing. It's just been audio in local parlance. How we can't move forward and run a country this way. We can't run a country on failed promises to the NLC month in, month out. So what is going to be the new catch about this meeting? Another failed promise announced? We can't continue this way. And it is sad that Labour has to be taken through this. But we'll still say Labour should attend as patriots. Let's see what will come out of it. But I will be shell-shocked and more than surprised to see any departure for what we know hitherto, the staccato rhythm, the back and forth, and the uncertainty. I keep repeating, we cannot run a country this way. At a time now, the petrol price has gone up to $94, around $95 per barrel. But we are still holding prices. That means we are doing something, we are paying subsidy or under recovery. We can't keep running the nation on collective deceits. It's just a matter of time.
Right.
Well, following President Tinubu's announcement of the removal of fuel subsidy, which some analysts have said, well, it was inevitable because the government that preceded his had originally said that by May 29, May 30, there will be no subsidy again. And the day that he took the oath of office in his maiden speech, he reaffirmed that fuel subsidy is gone. But you know that over the years, the position of Labour has been different. Labour's position is that if you get the refineries working, maybe it will help. If we do certain other things within the economy, maybe that will help. And that the priority of the Nigerian government over the years, till date, should be the welfare of the people, which is a constitutional responsibility of government, not to impose any form of hardship on them any further. So Labour immediately protested, and we've been on this matter since June, July. The federal government said it was setting up a committee after 2 meetings with organized labor. It's a presidential, negotiation committee and certain subcommittees. Labour's grouse is that one, those subcommittees have not functioned. The federal government abandoned the negotiation. That's the position of Labour. So federal government was not showing up. Second, The federal government went to court, to the National Industrial Court, to get an injunction against the organized labor, which labor also kicked against. That, look, I mean, it's part of the responsibility of labor engaged in collective bargaining to go on protest. It's a legitimate right of organized labor, even under International Labor Organization, ILO rules and guidelines. And labor threatened at some point that any injunction will be disregarded by labor. Okay? Then, of course, despite all of that, the federal government still refused to meet with organized labor. And it was on the basis of this background that labor decided on September 1 to issue an ultimatum, a 21-day ultimatum that will expire on September 22. And then labor followed up by going on a warning strike September 5, September 6, which recorded a partial success in parts of the country, simply because government again adopted a divide and rule tactics, getting TUC to attend a meeting that was boycotted by the NLC. So here we are now, you know, ahead of September 22, today, September 18, the Ministry of Labor and Employment, led by Simon Lalong, former governor, you know, has now called a meeting. And the Nigerian Labour Congress says it will attend to this meeting. So we await the outcome of that meeting. What is the magic that the federal government is going to do? Request about 5 demands, about minimum wage, about reversal to status quo antebellum, about investment in education, about payment of a backlog of salaries and allowances, about palliatives for the people. You know, these are the major planks of the demands by labor. All of these demands have not been met. Even the palliatives that government, you know, has tried to provide is controversial. As I raised the point earlier on this program, 5 billion for each state. With what formula did you arrive at that 5 billion per state that have, you know, disparate statistics, figures, circumstances? And then in any case, we have seen how in many of these states, you know, the 5 billion has been causing problems. In one state, I think it's Ondo State, one ward chairman just decided to physically assault, you know, a commissioner who came to, Commissioner for Women Affairs, who came to distribute palliatives. In some other states, they've hijacked, in Oyo State, a vehicle carrying a lorry load of bags of rice. The people took the matter into their hands and attacked the bus and liberated the bags of rice from the politicians, ferrying them from one place to the other. So labor is right by saying that the cost of living is very high. The people are under stress. The people are being punished. And all the promises that government, you know, will seem to have made, they've not seen anything, either in terms of forex management or in terms of setting other fundamentals within the economy. But today, of course, organized labor, we see will meet with government again. Of course, the basic objective by the federal government will be to see how they can stop the proposed strike, which is supposed to be general and indefinite, total, as the Nigerian Labour Congress has put it. Well, I don't think that that will be, you know, in the interest of everybody, because with the hardship within the economy, you then further shut down the same economy, then of course, at the end of the day, it will be ordinary people, you know, that will suffer. Particularly now that we are told that by the end of August, inflation in Nigeria has gone up to, you know, about 25.48%. You know, in July, it was 24.08%. And the major thing is food inflation. Food, cereals, fish, oil and fat. People cannot even eat fish again in Nigeria. That is how bad the situation is. And that is where organized labor is coming from. At the end of the day, you know, the government will have to address, you know, the crisis that the people face. Labor is just in the vanguard of it, trying to defend the people's interest.
All right, in defense of the people's interests, unfortunately, it seems as if since inauguration, the Nigerian people have had to be patient, had to wait, and suffer hardship in many regards, especially following the announcement of the removal of fuel subsidy and other policies, economic policies announced by this present government. Today, the 18th of September, actually makes it 2 weeks since that meeting, which the NLC refused to attend, whilst the TUC, that's the Trade Union Congress, attended with the federal government. At that meeting, the communique released at that meeting stated that the federal government was committed to fulfilling some of their plans or some promises in the next 2 weeks. Today is 2 weeks afterwards, and little or nothing has been done, meaning that what was the purpose of the meeting on the 4th of September in a bid to stall or to stop the 2-day warning strike, which took place on the 5th and 6th of September. Perhaps we can now begin to appreciate or understand why Nigeria Labour Congress refused to attend that meeting. And they had stated that the federal government wasn't taking the matter very seriously. And 2 weeks afterwards, it seems as if they've been proven right. So there's another meeting being called again, and now the NLC have said they will go to the negotiation table. But what is the guarantee that things will be different on this occasion? Since negotiations started following NLC, organized labor's agitations that the federal government must pay attention to the most vulnerable people in its own country to ensure that policies announced would not adversely affect the Nigerian people, especially making people poorer, suffer hardship. And what are they asking? Amongst other things, is a wage review. I hope we know that the minimum wage of the federal government currently still stands at 30,000 naira. I hope we're aware of that. Put that side by side with what that amount of money can purchase. For, let's say, assume a family of 4, mother, father, and 2 children. How far would that take an individual who is working at the moment? 5 billion naira given to states for palliatives, which has come under criticism for being not near enough. And this palliative is in the form of distribution of food materials. Has already been identified. We've seen how it had already been said that it might even cause more problems than a solution. And we've seen that in other states where you make the citizens of your state seem like beggars. We see people fighting like a jungle for a small portion of rice. This is what the government has turned the people to. And so perhaps the call this morning is that it's not enough to have roundtable meetings and conversations and release a communique afterwards if the terms of the discussions or terms of agreement would not be honored, especially on the part of the federal government. And so, when they go to that table this morning, organized labor will possibly stick to their guns in terms of what they're asking for. Some of the things have been said to be unrealistic, for instance, the amount of money in terms of the new wage. But other things are very realistic and pertinent for the Nigerian people. So I'm hoping that this government will do what is right, and with integrity too. When decisions are made, agreements are made, then it ought to be honored so that we don't blame organized labor for shutting down the economy in the next few days. Well, we'll give you updates on that particular meeting once it's done. We move on to our next story. Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke yesterday confirmed reported aircraft incident in which he was personally involved, claiming strong indications that the 2 aircraft engines might have been tampered with before boarding and takeoff. That was eventually aborted. Reacting to reports on the incident, which had been kept away from the media, spokesperson to the governor, Malam Olawale Rashid, said the highly technically equipped aircraft was well maintained with the best technical crew and was never an unused platform where birds could build nests. Contrary to the claim by the hangar owner that birds' nests caused the incident, he noted that birds' nests were made with straws, not beading wires as in this case. According to him, the near-fatal incident was averted shortly after boarding and less than 2 minutes after commencement of taxiing on the tarmac. Rufai.
At first, we thank God that no life was lost. Yeah. And it will have been a sad one because Nigeria had just gotten over the ICAO certification for safety, and we got over 70%, which 70%, I should say, which shows that there's still a lot more work that needs to be done about our aviation sector. But this case too will also be reported to the international authorities, but local investigation will start. The minister has said local investigation will start very soon. The story about the bird nest, yes, it's one part of the story, but I don't like to believe any story, especially when it comes to air incident, or except a proper investigation has been done to be able to get to the root of the matter. Everything is just in the realm of speculation. So they talked about bird nest, probably infiltrating, getting into the engine, making homes in the engine and all of that. An aircraft engine is a very, very sensitive piece of engineering masterpiece. And I can say that because I have seen these engines, I have studied a lot of them, and they are very sensitive to the very, very minutest detail. So, it is only the investigation department that can come out and say all of this. As regards the allegations of sabotage and everything, yes, a man that has just seen his life fly past in his front, it could have been mid-air, that thing happened, will be able to say anything. But let's not also hit the polity. And that's why I said thank God for life at first. And this investigation must be done as regards what's happened to that aircraft and a Global Express aircraft. And let's get to the root of the matter. But let's just all calm down as we do that. But once again, thanks that no lives were lost. But I would also extend this conversation by saying it goes back to the conversation as regards safety. Remember the cases that have been reported recently of airline tires going off, water also being in compartments where they ought not to be, mixed with fuel, and all sorts that have happened in our aviation sector. Also recently, an airline skidded off the runway. Relatively, the aviation sector has been marginally very safe all this while. We've not had major incidents since the days we had repetitive crashes, with the days of Bellevue, Sosoliso, and the likes. But also, recently, the reports coming out as regards the aviation sector leaves much to be desired, and it shows a lot more work needs to be done. I'd like to call on the stakeholders to ensure they put in a lot of measures in place to ensure safety of our planes in the skies. And would like to see the end of this investigation.
I think it's fairly straightforward. Safety is the number one consideration in the aviation sector, considering all the factors that go into aviation. It's important that the NCA, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, has indicated that the incident has been reported and that due process will be followed in investigating and applying, the necessary protocols. And it's only at the end of that investigation that we can arrive at any definitive conclusion. The owner of the hangar that said, it was a bird nest that had been built inside the engine, one of the engines of the aircraft. Well, there was nowhere in any of the preliminary statements that indicated that an investigation had been carried out. Because what the owners of the hangar were saying was that that particular aircraft was not properly covered. And if you don't cover it properly, then maybe, because we're in Africa, birds can go and build a nest inside one of your engines. Well, bird strike being one of the major challenges that we tend to have around here. But, what is more important is a professional, thorough investigation. The person involved, Governor of Osun State, who has recorded victories over his election, the Election Petition Tribunal, all the way to the Supreme Court. His supporters are bound to feel that this is a case of a sabotage because of who he is. But the good part of the story is that, this was something that happened just as the aircraft was taxiing off, and then the flight was immediately aborted. I'm sure very soon we'll see Governor Adeleke treating this with a sense of thanksgiving and, thanks to Almighty God that he survived. Whether it was an accident or it was an act of sabotage, at least he's alive to tell the story. And, the accident that will have happened, did not happen. And I guess the same also for his aides who were accompanying him, who were told that he was on his way to Abuja. But the major concern here, now that we have a Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, it's not just, beautifying the airports. It's not just about renovation. It's also about safety. This is the second incident within a short while. The other day, there was an aircraft that we told went off the tarmac. But luckily enough, nobody died, nobody got wounded, and all of that. And we have had cases of aircraft in Nigeria, which is a strange story. Maybe those were artificial intelligence generated, pictures or not, of people pushing aircraft at the airplane as if they were trying to jumpstart their vehicles. All of these are issues, that the new Minister of Aviation need to worry about. Safety first, because if you lose any human lives as a result of, aviation incident, it's terrible and it's irreparable, and we do not wish that would happen. We look forward to Governor Adeleke's Thanksgiving party, to be treated to another round of dancing and singing and drumming, and we all join him in thanking God for this blessing of life and the grace of survival.
Well, this one would be definitely a dance worth it on the day of his Thanksgiving, and when people will be dancing with him. Again, thank God that he's safe and well. This incident actually happened on the 5th of September, Tuesday the 5th of September. But it had been kept silent for a while. But this information is coming out because, of course, of the personality involved and the seriousness of the issue at hand. Now, according to the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, he had said that on hearing of this incident, he had asked the DG of NCAA to update him on what had happened, and a report had been filed as is statutorily required on the 6th of September, which is the day afterwards. However, the CEO of the hangar where the jet had been passed on. By the way, the jet belonged to his brother, Chief Adeleke, and they were both traveling with Governor Adeleke and his aides. And 2 minutes, from taxiing, that's when the incident happened. The CEO described this as foreign object, FOD, foreign object disruption, or thereabouts. And he had mentioned that it had happened, a similar incident had happened to him as well, whereby, some birds tampered with the engine and so on takeoff. It was really hot, and that caused the slight, the issue. It could have potentially been fatal, or at worst, very ghastly accident in that regard. I do think, as has already been recommended, that a full investigation must be instituted. Number 2 is that if birds pose such serious danger to aeroplanes when they are parked, then if the CEO is saying that it had happened to him previously, then it should never happen again. Such a dangerous incident, if this is the case and the line he's towing in terms of this is what happened, should never happen again. That's why we have risk assessments. That's why we have safety procedures. That's why we have people who are in charge of checking the safety regulations. So if a report had been filed previously that a bird could potentially, or birds building nests in aircraft parked, could potentially lead to such an incident, it means that it is avoidable and should never have occurred again. Because you learn from previous errors or mistakes, and you put in structures in place to ensure that it doesn't occur, especially bearing in mind how dangerous it potentially could be. So this is why investigations are important. This is why reports are important. And this is why beyond investigations, reports, and conclusions, there must be structures put in place to ensure that there is never, as much as possible, a reoccurrence, especially as it would affect lives and and properties. So once again, the onus is on the Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development to ensure it's not just an announcement or a news item, but also that measures are put in place so that if birds decide to nest in aircraft engines, then something has to be done. They have to put in measures in place to ensure it doesn't happen again. And if other reasons are found to be why this has happened, then again, that ought to be investigated until a conclusion is done. Until that happens, we can't but say thank God for his life, and hopefully there will be no reoccurrence again. We move on to our final story for today. Arise News has been honored with the most engaging television station on social media. This title was at the Social Media Awards. The recognition is a testament to our commitment to bringing you quality content. Arise News Head Digital, Demola Ojo, Deputy Director News, Ohi Odiaye, and social media producer, Eloho Otugo, received the award on our behalf. Our team at Arise News continues to maintain an interactive online presence committed to delivering a 24-hour news across various social media platforms.
Great work everybody at Arise is doing. As you can see, we're a team. We came together. Yes, the editors, the anchors, everybody, producers, engineers, and the social media managers. It's a big team. And the winner is Arise TV. By the team, I'm sure that means everybody at Arise. Because don't forget the content. A lot of the content we post on social media is what we have from TV. And you know, on TV, it's teamwork. So maybe it's the anchors you see, but there are so many people. You have people behind the cameras here. You have producers, you have engineers, you have directors. So many people that you can keep going on. Of course, we have the social media managers too. So yes, it's recognition for work that everybody at Arise is doing, you know, management. It's for everyone. You can see that a lot of the traditional media organizations are even adapting, you know, and they also have very strong social media platforms. Social media is what it is, and it goes across different, you have YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, each one with its own unique users, you know, with its own unique character. So yes, I mean, who knows what's going to come up in the next 2, 3, 4 years. The latest entrant, you know, is TikTok. Well, did I say TikTok? There was Threads by Facebook. So yes, it just keeps evolving. Yeah, you just need to be on social media. For someone like us, yes, we reach our audience, you know, not just via broadcast, but we have a huge digital media presence, you know, across the website to YouTube, a lot of our content, and that's very important for Arise News. A lot of our content is streamed live via social media. So it's really important. Yeah, that's where it is. That's where it is right now.
Congratulations to Arise, and very particularly the social media team headed by Demola Ojo. Congratulations.
Yeah. There will be implications, you know, there are implications for all of us out here. And it's always great anytime, you know, we get awards and recognition, and it's just a testament to the hard work, you know, that a lot of people do at the background, especially social media team, and Demola has done a sterling, a yeoman's job, you know, with the team, I should say, at building things from the back. And it's just a path, you know, to be able to give you the news in many other dimensions. And it just shows the evolution of the world itself. I mean, I was having a chat with somebody recently, and I said, in 1999, if you called yourself a blogger, people would look at you and say, what is happening? But today, a blogger is out there, is known, and all of that. So, and today we have the platforms, the big tech platforms like, you know, Facebook, Twitter, and the likes. But many years down the line, it's also going to evolve. And there are going to be, you know, many other platforms, all social media and all of that. But how you can constantly rest on the cuff of this innovation and constantly thinking and iterating your ideas, and that's one thing that stands the test of time. So I'm happy Arise has got this. It's a testament to a lot of hard work. Kudos to Arise. Arise, numero uno. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
We're in the age of convergence. What we're dealing with is the usefulness of the age of convergence, whereby, you know, media houses no longer just stay in one platform. If you have a newspaper house, you see that newspaper house, we also have a TV station, we also be very active on social media, you know, and you find all the, you know, necessary platforms converging. That's a new reality in the new world media order. And this is just an illustration of that, a TV station winning a social media, you know, award. So, you know, the benefit of convergence. And then congratulations, of course, to Demola Ojo and his team. And it's good to see him front of the camera.
Yes.
Because I always say that, you know, okay, we may be on television, we may be the face or the faces of the station, but You know, there are many people in the background who are facilitating our work. Whether the boys who are always disturbing me from the gallery with sit like this, look like this, look up, and all of that, or the producers, you know, who process the entire thing. So it's teamwork. And the beauty of what we have here is that teamwork, that solidarity. And I hope that two things that everyone will take from this is that the reward for hard work, as I always say, is more hard work. And that team spirit is what is important, because every media operation is a chain. If you are the weak link in that chain, you disrupt the system and you disturb others. So, you know, to our staff, solidarity, you know, teamwork, you know, so that we can continue to shine and continue to win these awards that keep coming one after the other. And then to realize that, look, the big message there is that we're in a competitive market. And we can only stay ahead by, you know, upscaling our skills and our effort. And thanks to all our viewers who must have recommended, who continue to recommend Arise News again and again. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for watching and making Arise the station that it is. Thank you to all those who, you know, work behind the scenes. We always talk about them. Honestly, you see us, but you don't see the people who work night and day to ensure the production is tight, excellent, and the content is something that you want to keep coming back to watch. And of course, to the Duke himself, Prince Nduka Obaigbena, for being the visionary behind, you know, the great things that you see on TV. Here's to more awards.